Amit from CXO TV and itwarnews.com. And today we have got Mr. Rakshit Bhatt, who is the head of cloud business group for Redington. And we would be discussing around the initiative that Redington has got around cloud and what exactly are the major transformations that the company is looking at and what are the recent channel initiatives it has got. Okay, so Mr. Rakshit, very warm welcome to this fireside chat.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start with the first question. While we see that COVID-19 has forced organizations to revisit their business model, technology has been a major enabler to help them to be relevant in the changing scenario. Okay, so in fact, enterprises have driven their digital transformation with the major adoption of cloud services. So in this scenario, how has Redington strengthened its capabilities to accelerate cloud adoption among its customers?
Sure. Thanks, Amit, for that question. Amit, if you look at the industry trends, if you look at the big consulting firms, the Gartners and the Everest talking about the Indian cloud story, I think we all know that the potential in terms of the overall cloud story is, as when I started this role, it was 7 billion, and sometimes we talk 11 billion, then it goes to 15 billion. You know, these numbers keep changing. And while COVID had a global impact, but on digital, as we all know, this impact has been positive from a cloud story perspective. Now, what does it mean for Redington? If you look at it from a Redington perspective, we are leaders in the cloud distribution space across the hyperscaler ecosystem, and AWS has been a key enabler for us on this growth. Now, the way the markets are reacting to cloud, the way the end customer is asking for solutions and services, Redington is definitely finding a place. And for that, from a capability perspective, I think for the last 2 years, Redington, and we continue to do that, we have invested heavily on our pre-sales to solution and delivery capability. What does it mean for our partner ecosystem? It means that my long tail partners, my partners who don't have such skills, now bank on Redington, and they come to us to build their proposals for the end customer, build their solutions for the end customers. And I'm very happy to share that this is also augmented by a managed service portfolio that our partners have started utilizing. So that's where our journey is, and this journey will not end because the market is as such that more you add to the technical competency, more demand from the partners and the customer community. So I'm very happy that the situation is as such.
Very good. So if you look at the recent developments, we have got the recent launch of 5G services in India. Okay, and most of the enterprises are very enthusiastic about the services. They expect this 5G service to further open up new opportunities across enterprises, MSMEs, as well as the startups and various consumers. Okay, so how is Redington enabling wider access to such opportunities? Means what exactly is Redington planning around 5G services?
Sure. So very relevant question, Amit, to the context of the discussions we are having with our hyperscaler friends. And if you look at it, while from our India SME space, the assessment to migration story is very much relevant. It will remain relevant for the next 3 years. But in parallel with 5G being launched in India, with the government of India saying that they will enable, if what I read in the forums, they say that 70 to 80% of the cities in India or the geography will be covered with 5G as early as next year, is a huge opportunity. Now, one is the business opportunity on what 5G can evolve for Redington as an organization. Definitely in our distribution model, it means that additional hardware, additional software, cloud bringing its own set of services, all that will be deployed. But I will give a technical answer to what you really asked me on 5G. And what does it hold for Redington? You know, 5G, edge, IoT, analytics, you talk about any other of these newest technology, they are all data driven. To me in Redington, and I'll say today, while I'm very confident about the cloud services around assessment to migration, etc., I think we are already in the incubation stage. And for me, all these services will rely on data engineering. So for Redington, the scope for our partners and customers is we are investing, we are building our data engineering capabilities. And once we are fully ready with our data engineering capabilities to take to our partners and their customers, I think that's the start of 5G for us. The other area where I really see, and this is my own assessment of what it means, you know, today we work on so many applications. I think if you pick up your handheld, any one of us will have 100 apps downloaded on it, right?
Yeah.
Do we really know how these applications will behave once we are in 5G, right? Are these applications really compatible with 5G? I know the application providers are working on it, but isn't there a huge opportunity of the overall evaluation of application readiness in 5G, 5G to 4G? So I think from a Redington perspective, data engineering, the application readiness as a scenario, and that is where I really want to work with our hyperscalers in terms of what solution offering they have, how can I stitch it, how can I bundle it to take it to the partners and say, here is our offering. And that's what I am working for with my team.
Very good. Very good. So, if you come to the channel landscape in India, so what are the three major transformations you see in technology channel space, which are actually redefining their approach toward business over the last couple of years, means basically the pandemic years, and what are the unique challenges faced by the channel fraternity?
Very deep question, Amit. And probably again, let's compare it. Let's look at it from a scenario. When we talk about cloud, when we talk about data centers, when we talk about digital, generally we relate it to large enterprises, right? We relate it to large banks. We relate it to large manufacturing companies. We relate it to large corporate houses. Now think about the channel ecosystem, which is, and where we play, which is really servicing the SMB, SME, that kind of space. And then these are not small entities. These are not small groups. While the challenges for them are similar, what an enterprise will have. When you talk about technology, it brings us the challenges in the same fashion that would be for a large bank. Now, if I relate it to the channel ecosystem and the challenges there, the end customer through the channel ecosystem, or wherever I go with my partners to the end customers, they are demanding that the channel ecosystem should also understand their business to apply the right technology. Now, cloud adoption is not only about picking up certain workloads, picking up certain services. It's not about that. Cloud adoption and the attached digital transformation is about we as a provider, my partner as a provider, really understand the end customer business problem. And to me, in the channel ecosystem, this is a gap today. And I talk to so many of my partner friends, and I think we are really, really thinking about it on how do we get that enterprise architecture skill in the SMB ecospace, talk about the business problems and relate to them and solve it for them. Today, it's a challenge. The second challenge I see is overall skills, right? Relatable skills shortage. And now again, the answer for that is, as we say, our relationship with AWS, with other hyperscalers. The answer is that we are not in a 1 year to a journey. We're in a 5 year journey. We ourselves are looking at building our CCOE. Now, the idea is with that experience, how do we take that CCOE ecosystem into our channel? How does Redington become the face of enabling the channels with those CCOEs? So I was just trying to relate the challenges and also potential solution we are thinking of. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, perfectly. So one of the things that I was wondering, see, although most of the channel partners and of course the vendors as well are quite active on providing solutions around cloud. Okay, and that is basically the trend that enterprises, means due to the pandemic, there has been a sudden surge toward cloud adoption. Okay, and somehow partners are also catching up with that. But stitching an overall solution around cloud, means because cloud comes with several flavors, it has to be stitched with various other technologies, maybe around data analytics, maybe around automation, or maybe AI, ML. Okay, so bringing about a really end-to-end kind of solution. So how do you think that partners are capable? How exactly is Redington enabling them to provide a end-to-end cloud-based solution which has got which has extensions to these emerging solutions as well, means around AI or maybe data analytics? So how exactly is Redington doing it?
Sure. So again, I think our relationship with the hyperscalers, AWS in this case, as I said, it's not 1 year, 2 year, it is 5 years and beyond.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to solutioning and stitching the solution, as I said, I'll relate it to my first answer, where I said a very in-depth technical pre-sales to solution competency is the bare minimum need, which Redington is evolving, and we are evolving it for our partner ecosystem. That's the first step of even reading the customer requirement, understanding it, and start breaking it into different segments of solution. Now, then comes the point of stitching them. Now, with our colleagues in AWS, what are we doing? We are co-creating these solution bundles. A very small solution bundle. If I talk about someone who, end customer who is just getting into the greenfield stage and then getting into the first workload of cloud, is as simple as that. Is there a workload which allows that customer to launch his first application onto the cloud? Now, when I talk about launching the first application, I'm talking about the underlying infrastructure. I'm talking about the attached database to it. I'm talking about the attached storage and backup solution to it. Very simple bundle, right? When I go complex on this, these bundles can then really get co-created, and we can add various other aspects to it, which is in working at the moment. Now, if you talk about, you touched upon data, you touched about analytics, you touched about the other advanced technologies. But before that, I'll touch about that. It's very easy to say, assess, migrate, right? Creating that migration zone, and then talking about modernization. India is at that crux where a lot of our end customers are talking about modernization. See, cloud is no more that we don't want it. Cloud is, how do I do my business utilizing cloud, utilizing digital? So it's, as Redington, it is the end-to-end journey. Now, from partner ecosystem perspective, I think there has been great discussions we are having with our partner ecosystem. Some have great skill set around a specific set of technologies that are there on the platforms. We have certain set of technologies that we are developing on. And then I spoke about the bundles. Now, the topic here is, how do you marry all of these? Our skill sets being created, co-creating the bundles with our friends in AWS, and then merging them with the partner skills that are there. Think about the unique story that we can go with to our customer ecosystem. And that's personally I aspire for, and I aspire with the leadership team of the hyperscaler world.
Very good. Very good. So can you also please talk about your recent business achievements in terms of maybe business expansion, revenue growth, or maybe channel expansion or customer acquisition over the last 12 to 18 months?
Absolutely. So it's been an amazing journey for us. Let me put it this way. So last year, when we looked at the entire cloud business, in the Indian market, we were in the range of 90 million in the Indian market space from a cloud distribution perspective. We are definitely going to surpass what the industry trends are talking about by the close of this fiscal. Yeah. We are growing at a rate of 60% plus at the moment, which is there in various forums. Now, these are some of the stats that are there because we are diversifying the way we expand our cloud. And what does it mean? It means that, am I focusing today, and my leadership team, my team on the ground, are they focusing only on tier 1? No, not anymore. The depth of India is tier 2, tier 3. And the depth of Redington is the ability to service each and every pin code in India. Now, how do you marry both of them? Again, I think that's the strategy, or that's the GTM we are trying to drive. And to an extent, we are seeing some early successes in tier 2, tier 3. We are seeing some actually very interesting results on the way adoption of cloud is happening in these territories. And I think for the next 2 to 3 years, this will be a mantra. Geo will be us to go ahead in capturing this space, doing more in the cloud space. And as a vision, Redington Cloud, we definitely want to be a 1 billion cloud company in the next 5 years.
Very good. So, I would be concluding with a similar question. Okay. So, basically, I also want to understand the top 5 focus areas for Redington for the next 2 to 4 years. Of course, one of them is into the expansion around their tier 2 and tier 3 cities and towns. Okay. So, overall, what are the 4 or 5 focus areas that you have got over the next 2 to 4 years?
Absolutely. So from a focus area perspective, I think the first is taking the solutions and services offerings, repackaging them and taking it to the Indian market. It means from a business perspective, it means from a GTM perspective, it means from a technology enablement perspective. Top focus. I think that's where the growth is. The second, from a Redington perspective, is creating the technology depth to enable this business growth, which again, I will restructure in the form of pre-sales to solution delivery capability. And we just started our NOC post-COVID in our Chennai delivery center for our partner ecosystem and the end customers, and working more with the AWS ecosystem. The focus area is, how do you build a very stronger delivery ecosystem? And delivery has 2 parts. One is the implementation capabilities around the technology landscape. It is so huge and it is so diverse. And second is sustaining after it has moved to cloud. So to me, that's another big priority. The fourth big priority I can talk about at this stage is, what is the product portfolio the overall cloud business in Redington will cater to. And when I say product portfolio, if you look at the trends again, infra is not the only trend. The born in cloud companies, the new age companies, the startups start cloud adoption by PaaS services. So working around PaaS services. And then we have a SaaS portfolio, which we are enriching. We are looking at what should be the SaaS portfolio for us. Where should we tie up? So from a SaaS perspective, if you look at it, Redington today has a pan-India tie-up on Salesforce. We have tie-up with Freshworks. From a DevOps or toolchain perspective, we have a GitLab. We are in advanced talks with some of the startups and ISV ecosystem to build that portfolio. So we really need to strengthen and think about marrying all this. An ISV startup, a SaaS portfolio, hooked onto a hyperscaler ecosystem, the consumption, solution, services, all bundled together. I think that's the dream, that's the aspiration Redington as an organization has around cloud. And to me, these are the top three priorities. Even if I close my eyes for the next 3-4 years, this is what I see happening.
Perfect. So that's really an interesting discussion with you. Thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for the deep inputs, deep insights that you provided. Thanks a lot.